Here we are again, August 21st, 2013. Dr. Peter Glidden here. What's this I hear? Type 1.5 diabetes. Type 1.5 diabetes. We talked about that on the radio show yesterday. The Internet's abuzz now with type 1.5 diabetes. Everybody wants to know, oh my God, do I have type 1.5 diabetes? Hold the horses. Pull over. Slow down. No, you don't. What you have is an old-fashioned, out-of-date, egocentric, unapologetic, Machiavellian MD practicing Newtonian reductionistic physics. Now, you know, without getting too complicated, because this really is not a complicated thing to understand, it may interest the listening audience to know that in the world of science, there are different philosophical orientations. Different philosophical orientations in the world of science. No different than different philosophical orientations, well, in the world of politics, right? There's the Republican methodology, there's the Democratic methodology, there's the Tea Party methodology, there's the Communist methodology, there's the Socialist methodology, and so forth and so on. People think that because it's science, you know, it has to be this one particular way, but it's not. Because in the wonderful world of science, there's, you know, for instance, in the world of physics, there's quantum physics, which is submolecular physics, and there's physics, which dictates, you know, everything else, like how fast planets move through space, how fast baseballs go, the terminal velocity of objects falling in the sky, at what temperature does water freeze, and the stuff that we see and feel and that we learn in physics, you know, in high school and college. But there's also subatomic physics, and in the world of subatomic physics, it is a whole new undiscovered territory. And the laws that apply in subatomic physics are not that created the atom bomb, that the understanding of subatomic physics allowed us to create the atomic bomb. But those rules are different than the rules for regular physics, right? It's regular physics and quantum physics. And Einstein was trying to marry these two worlds with a unified theory of everything that would have rules and regulations that covered the application and the operation of subatomic particles as well as everything else in the world, but he couldn't do it. So the world of science, you know, practically speaking, has two different ways of looking at things. There's the quantum worldview and there's the regular worldview. Well, it's the same with medicine. But the people practicing the quantum worldview of medicine are in the minority. And the people practicing the regular, old-fashioned, outdated, reductionistic worldview of medicine, those people are in the majority. And when you try to apply reductionistic methods to the human body, which is a system, you're going to screw it up. Unless, of course, you're just focusing on the part. Which is why MDs are really good at surgery, because that's reductionism on steroids. Surgery. You know, I've got a problem with this part of my index finger. I need to surgery that. I've got a bullet in my right shoulder, heaven forbid. Left shoulder, heaven forbid. Whatever. I mean, that's reductionism, right? That's where it's good. That's why the best advances in medicine in the last 100 years have been in the field of surgery and trauma care. But for systemic help with things like diabetes, high blood pressure, arthritis, the MDs are horrible at what they do. Not because they're sadistic, but because when you bring a reductionistic methodology to bear on a unified field like the human body, it will fail. It has to fail. So, but because the MDs are arrogant and they're cowards and they're unwilling to go against the grain of what they're taught, they're unwilling to think outside of their philosophical box, you know, for fear of losing their license, they're going to fall back to comfort food. You know, when you get all stressed out, what do? You fall back to comfort food. That's what you do. You have more pie, you have more coffee, you have more candy, you have more chicken soup, whatever it was. You eat more comfort food, right? Well, when the MDs are up against the psychological stress, like, holy smokes, my patients are getting worse and worse and worse and worse, what am I going to do? Well, they're going to fall back on their comfort zone, which is how to classify things. So they go crazy with classification. You know, there's this gray area, right, between type 1 diabetes, which is insulin dependent, and type 2 diabetes, which is your body still makes insulin, but you're having funky trouble with blood sugar, and there's a lot of gray area in there, and when the MDs are in that gray area, they have to label it because they have to be comfortable, and so it's type 1.5 diabetes, folks. That's what it is. And just wait. Next week, it's going to be von Wernicke's type 1.5A, subsection B2 diabetes. Don't you just love it? They're going to categorize this until the cows come home. And yet, have nothing for us except expensive treatments. Don't believe me? Check this out. I pulled this right off of Medscape today. An estimated 26 million people in the United States have diabetes, and this figure is projected to nearly double by 2034. In 2012, the direct medical cost of diabetes in the United States was calculated at $176 billion. And on top of that, the cost of lost productivity was $69 billion. You know what this means? This means that if you go to an MD and you have a blood sugar issue, it's going to cost you over the course of your life approximately $85,200. Could be as high as $130,000. The low ball is $55,000. The high ball is $130,000. The mid-range is $85,000. So while you're giving your body over to the MDs to help you manage a blood sugar issue, which is what they're going to do because they can't cure it, they can manage it, it's going to cost you upwards of between $55,000 and $130,000 over the course of your life. And into the bargain, your toes are going to fall off, your fingers are going to fall off, they're going to cut your hands and your feet and your legs off. You're going to go blind. Thank you very much. But before you lose your limbs and your vision, you're going to lose your bank account and they're going to bankrupt you. You know anybody that has an extra $85,000 they can throw at a blood sugar issue? You know anybody that has an extra $130,000 they can throw at a health issue? Do you? I certainly don't. I don't know a group of people you hang out with. This is why we have a healthcare crisis here in the United States, because conventional medicine, reductionistic allopathic medicine, when applied to chronic diseases, can at best manage the situation. And because the MDs are never, ever, ever, ever going to question their philosophy, right? A tried and true Republican is always going to be a Republican. A Democrat is as blue-blooded as they get. They're always going to be a Democrat. Rarely you'll get somebody who jumps ship. But usually it's for political reasons, not philosophical reasons. But in any event, it's hard for the tiger to change its stripes, right? Impossible, quite frankly, for the tiger to change his stripes. It ain't going to happen. So the MD's never going to give up their philosophical orientation. So to maintain comfort inside of such exorbitant failure, they'll categorize it until the cows come home. You just wait. It's going to be type 1.7.327 diabetes is coming up next. Oh, you eat too much table talk pie. You have type 3.14 diabetes. That's what you have. And it's nonsense. And I mean it's nonsense. Now, you know, I wouldn't be able to speak like this unless I've had direct clinical experience in the treatment of high blood pressure with things other than what the knucklehead MDs bring to the table, and I have for over 20 years. I've seen people get on the other side of blood sugar. It is easier to resolve a blood sugar issue than it is to fall off of a potato truck, and yet the Food and Drug Administration disallows us from using the cure word. You can't use the cure word for anything because, according to the Food and Drug Administration, the only thing that can cure anything is a drug. How about that? So we don't cure type 2 diabetes. We don't. We don't even treat type 2 diabetes. We don't treat high blood pressure. We don't treat arthritis. We don't treat heartburn. We treat people. We deliver to the bodies of living, breathing human beings the raw materials that their bodies need in order to maximize their health. We give them the stuff they need to maintain their health. And guess what? 99.99 times out of 100, when you do this, the body rallies and recovers. Why? Because your body has a God-given ability to fix itself. Your body knows how to fix itself. Your body wants to fix itself. Your body is endowed with a God-given intelligence. Your body was so smart, it grew itself all by itself from a single-celled organism into you. There are trillions with a T of metabolic processes that are happening every minute of every day in your body that are completely outside of your conscious control. All orchestrated and dictated by the unseen intelligence of the body. Unseen is a good word here because the MD doesn't see it. The MD has no understanding, no appreciation, no respect, no conceptuality of the intelligence of the body. As far as your MD is concerned, the human body is a random amalgamation of biochemicals that happened in some antediluvian swamp millions of years ago, sparked by a bolt of electricity from a passing thundercloud, and then life evolved from whatever. You got to be kidding me. But this is the majority. It's a monkey house. It's the blind leading the blind, and this is why the medical system in the U.S., in the world, it's not just endemic to the U.S. Contemporary allopathic reductionistic modern medicine, as it's delivered in the United States, does not need to be regulated. It does not need to be deregulated. It does not need to be tweaked. It does not need to be massaged. It needs to be abandoned because it doesn't work. It doesn't work. It's pretty good for trauma. It's pretty good for surgery when surgery is absolutely necessary. But again, like the fella said, when all you have is a hammer, everything looks like a nail. So what do you think the surgeon's going to tell you to do? Surgery it, because that's all that they know. And see, this is a problem, and this is what we're up against here. Type 1.5 diabetes, you got to be kidding me. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're suffering with a blood sugar issue, you don't have a bad gene. You have a bad doctor. In order to support and promote the structure and function of your blood, to help your body optimize its blood sugar metabolism, it's easy. The recommendation, 1 healthy blood sugar pack for 100 pounds of body weight per month. Eliminate the 10 bad foods. It's that simple. You want to get on board with this stuff? 855-347-3696. Talk to one of my representatives. We'll give you the stuff at the wholesale price, and I'll take your calls when we come back. 866-582-9933. That's the number to call to speak to me live and in person. 866-582-9933. And if you'd like information on the products, that number, 855-347-3696. And you can watch us streaming live on YouTube. Just go to fireyourmdnow.com, click on the radio button, and there we are. God, you got to love technology. We're going to talk to Cindy from Connecticut in just a second here, but before we walk down that road, I just want to riff on this for a little bit longer because it's important and it's useful to understand. I don't know how many of you are old enough to remember this, how many in my listening audience are old enough to remember this, but not that long ago, it was really difficult to make a long-distance call because AT&T had a monopoly on the way that, on the telephone system in the United States, and it was like, $1.50 a minute to make a long-distance phone call, so it was a big deal to make a long-distance phone call. Nobody hardly ever did it, and then, the government came along and broke AT&T up, and then the competition was able to take over. But now you can make a long-distance phone call without even thinking about it. Just use your cell phone, and it's like a local call, right? It's all the same. But not too long ago, making a long-distance phone call was like almost impossible, and that was the norm then. Everybody was used to having to save their pennies to talk to, their brother in Seattle if they lived in New York once a month because it was going to break the bank otherwise. And I remember having to do that. But now things have changed. We get used to things being a certain way when we're in the middle of a monopoly. And we're in the middle of a monopoly, a medical monopoly. We've been in the middle of a medical monopoly for 100 years. And when you're in the middle of a monopoly, the people involved in the delivery of the monopoly can become so absurd that they're allowed to get away with it by virtue of the fact that they have a monopoly. AT&T could charge, $300 million a minute for a long-distance phone call. They'd get away with it because they owned the show. Well, it's the same with MDs, So you go to the doctor. Oh, doc, what'd you do? The doctor says, what'd you do? Oh, doc, I poked myself in the right eye with a sharp stick. The doctor says, well, sorry, I'm a left eye specialist. You have to go see the right eye specialist for that. Oh, okay, doc, whatever you say. Doc, I have a blood sugar problem. I can't. I wake up in the middle of the night. I'm wide awake. I fall asleep after I have a meal that has a carbohydrate in it. I'm falling asleep driving to work after a couple of shots of my coffee. I thought coffee was supposed to wake me up. Oh, well, you don't have type 1 diabetes. You don't have type 2 diabetes. Huff and puff, huff and puff. You have, wait a minute, I know. It's type 1.5 diabetes. That's what you've got. Your great-great-grandmother on your father's side, twice disconnected from the zebra in Africa, they gave you the type 1.5 diabetes gene. I'm pretty sure that's what you've got. Oh, okay, Doc. Thanks very much. And, we don't question it because we're good people. We're honest people. We're upright people. We know how to do our jobs. We have personal responsibility and personal integrity, and we assume that the person in the white coat also does. But they do not. One of the greatest eye-opening moments for people to understand, one of the greatest eureka moments that people who come over to our way of thinking, one of the things that gets them into our boat is they have the understanding that their medical doctor is not concerned with how to cure them. They're not. Your medical doctor might be the nicest person in the world. They might donate their time to Doctors Without Borders and feed the homeless every Thanksgiving. I don't know. They might have a free medical clinic once a month. I used to do that. They might be a really great human being, but they're reductionists. And because they are reductionists, they are not trained in how to help your body heal. They're only trained in how to manage your symptoms with drugs until it gets so bad that they need to surgery it out. It's disease management through drugs and surgery, and that's all they can bring to the table. And when people understand that their medical doctor is not trained in how to cure them, they freak out. And they run around in circles for a little while, and then they get so frustrated that their head explodes, and then they come over into our camp because we offer, what we offer? Health recovery through science-based, clinically verified medical nutrition delivered by licensed and regulated physicians, which I think is what most people thought their MD did, but they did not. Take the red pill, folks. Snap out of it. Join Longevity. Join my online health recovery program. Knowledge is power. Get a clue. Get your health back and give me a call. We are really going to Cindy in Connecticut when we come back. Stick around. 866-582-9933. That's the number to call to speak to me live. 866-582-9933. Give me a shout like Cindy from Connecticut did. Hey, Cindy, thanks for waiting. You are live.
Hello.
Hello, Cindy. How can I help?
Hi.
Thanks for calling.
I have a lot of questions. Is there a better way to get multiple questions to you than on the radio?
Well, the way that we do it, there's 3 ways to do it. You can call me on the radio and ask me anything you'd like, time permitting, right?
Right.
You can become a subscriber, a member of my online health recovery program, become a Dr. Glidden Insider, and as a subscriber, you get access to 2 hours of live chat a week. Sometimes it's 3 hours of live chat a week. I have 4 hours of live webinars a week, 2 of which are live chats. So
those are $20 a month.
Yeah, that's the $20 a month thing. You can cancel at any time. Right. And the third way is to wait until I show up in town and give a lecture, or Dr. Wallach shows up in town and give lecture. Dr. Wallach, at 74 years of age, he gives over 300 free lectures a year. I'm not sure when the next event in Connecticut is going to be, but so that's how we do it. So how can I help you today, Cindy?
One of them, I was looking at your heartburn GERD video.
Yeah, what did you think?
And you made a comment that it was very informative.
Yeah.
you said under certain circumstances the stomach may make too much acid. And then you went on to continue your conversation, but what exact circumstances might that be?
No, I think you misunderstood. It's extremely rare, and I've never seen it happen.
Yes, I know it's rare. You mentioned it was rare.
I'm going to have to revisit that, because if I said that, I misspoke. I've never, ever seen anybody with a stomach that's created too much stomach acid. I can't imagine a circumstance under which that would happen, so I probably misspoke.
You mentioned you were discussing the stomach acid itself as calcium and salt.
Yep.
And we need the calcium and salt in our diet to maintain proper stomach acid.
Yeah.
How much of each is a good goal to shoot for in a day?
Oh, that's a great question. So with salts, you basically have to rely on the wisdom of your own body. So with salt, we just recommend that you salt food that's appropriate to salt until it tastes good, and follow your body's lead. If your food tastes too salty, well, you've used too much. And your body will tell you, once you get into the rhythm of using salt on a regular basis, your body will tell you when it needs more and when you've used too much. So in that regard, we just go by our taste. And, most people eat 3 meals a day. Most people don't. Well, if you eat bacon and eggs, then you can use salt, on your breakfast food. But if you're eating food that calls for salt, then just salt your food and lean on your body's, kind of taste buds in order to help you there. Now, with calcium, the recommendation is 1,200 milligrams a day of absorbable calcium. And the single best way to get that, and let me say this again, the single best way to have your calcium needs met, so you don't have to worry about it anymore, because calcium is an extremely important supplement, is to take 1 ounce per 100 pounds of body weight per day of Dr. Wallach's Beyond Osteo FX liquid calcium. They just came out with the liquid calcium in a powdered form. It's exactly the same formula. It's been freeze-dried, and instead of a liquid, it's in a powder. So whatever floats your boat there. But the recommendation is 1 serving of the white liquid calcium per 100 pounds of body weight per day. That's a really good place to start, right? And, before I started mentoring with Dr. Wallach, I did something called science-based nutrition, where when I worked with patients, we did sophisticated blood work analysis in order to see how much, supplements they needed, and we modified our supplement dosage based on the results of the blood work, and that was one way to do it. But what I've been finding since I've been working with Dr. Wallach is when you give the body everything that it needs in good recipes, which are absorbable and easy for the body to assimilate, when you give the body everything that it needs, appropriate for its body weight every day, then the body sorts it out. It's virtually impossible to overdose on this stuff. I calculated how much someone would have to take to hurt themselves with Dr. Wallach's white liquid calcium. It was something ridiculous, like 35 or 47 bottles a day, right, which is nobody's ever going to be able to do that. So another way to do it is to start with a particular dose of calcium, see how you feel, and then double it for a week and see how you feel and see if you notice a difference. And over time, as you're on board with our program more, and as your body gets stronger and you're away from the bad foods for a longer amount of time, you're going to be able to assimilate the supplements in a more efficient manner. So, 1 ounce or 2 ounces taken today might be easily replaced by 1 ounce a year from now, because a year from now, once you've been on the program for a long time, your body will be able to assimilate almost 100% of the 1 ounce. So it modifies as we go down the road, and there's no real dyed-in-the-wool answer to the problem. So we have generic recommendations, which is 1 ounce of the white liquid calcium per 100 pounds of body weight per month. Does that make sense?
Yes. Can you hear me?
I can.
Oh. In respects to taking that, I'm doing quite well with it, by the way. Sometimes I forget and I have a couple of bites of food, and then I have to remember, to go take the osteo. Does that matter if I got a couple of bites in before I take it?
No, it doesn't matter. The only thing that matters really is if you're taking a mineral supplement, something that has minerals in it, like the calcium supplement or the selenium or the Beyond Tangy Tangerine. All three of those supplements have minerals in them. Calcium, of course, a mineral. Minerals can be inhibited from absorbing into the bloodstream if you have just eaten a food that has phytates in it. So it's best not to take any mineral supplement on top of a phytate-containing food, but notwithstanding that, you're good to go. I recommend the white liquid calcium first thing in the morning and immediately before bed. And if you get into the habit of taking the calcium immediately before bed, you're going to sleep like a baby, Cindy.
Are you supposed to take it with food, or does that not matter?
Well, if the food, some people have, sensitive stomachs, and if they take even a really good, high-quality nutritional supplement on an empty stomach, they feel kind of funky. So it really depends on, how much of an iron stomach you have. In the best possible world, it's best to take the stuff between meals, but if you can't handle that, with a meal is okay, as long as it doesn't contain a phytate or any of the other 10 bad foods, right? We're big advocates of eliminating all 10 bad foods.
Yes, I have more questions on those, but I'm going to go and review that video before I bother you.
Oh, well, you're not bothering me, Cindy. I appreciate, I appreciate the support. I appreciate the questions, and especially if it comes from somebody who's really thought it through. I love my audience. Thanks so much for your support. I'll look forward to more questions in the future. From Connecticut to New Jersey, looks like we're hanging out on the East Coast in this hour. We're going to talk to Erica next. Hey, Erica. Thanks for the phone call. You are live.
Hello, Dr. Glidden. I'm calling because I just received some news. I took some blood tests, and the rheumatologist said that it looks like I might have autoimmune hepatitis based on an ALT and an anti-smooth muscle test. She also said I had Sjogren's syndrome, and she was also really concerned as well, too, because she said my cholesterol was really high at 308.
Well, how old are you, and what's your nationality?
I'm sorry?
How old are you, and what's your nationality?
Oh, I'm Hispanic, and I am 32 years old.
Okay, and are you dealing with any other health issues?
I have
okay, list them up for me.
I have digestive issues. I have skin issues. I also have joint problems, too, and also I might have osteoporosis as well, too.
Yeah. So, in your 30s, under the care of the MDs, you're going straight to hell in a handbasket, and, this is how it is for everybody in the country. And this is what I was alluding to at the top of the hour with my little monologue about the dangers of a monopoly. It's like the crazy people have escaped from the asylum, and they're running the town. But they've been running the town for so long that everybody just, thinks it's normal to have the crazy person driving the bus. So while you've been given MDs, your hard-earned money in the form of medical insurance premiums every month, you're getting worse and worse and worse every year. And, you're spending more and more and more money for their services, which are ineffective, and they're not helping you with your health. They're managing symptoms, but you're not getting healthier under their care. You're getting worse. But because it's the same way for everybody, you think, holy smokes, maybe I really do have the hepatitis gene. Maybe my doctor is right. It can't be the doctor's fault. It's my great-grandmother's fault. She gave me the hepatitis autoimmune gene. Well, I doubt very much that you have an autoimmune gene because from our point of view, there's no such thing as an autoimmune disease. We believe that the MDs have misinterpreted the findings here. And it's a good metaphor. I use it all the time. Maybe it's a dead horse and I should come up with a different metaphor. But, if you went outside and looked at the sunrise and the sunset, if you didn't know anything about astronomy, you could reasonably conclude that the sun moves around the earth. Well, look, it moves right through the sky. And what are you, nuts? It's the sun that's moving. Well, no, it's not. It's the earth spinning on its axis that makes the sun appear to move. Well, MDs misinterpret the presence of the antibody in your blood in the same fashion. They think it's causing your illness. We think it's the result of the illness. These are two completely different, diametrically opposed, 180 degrees opposite points of view. So listen, I'm glad that you found your way into, our world here. Here's what I'd like you to do, all right? I want you to make a list of all of the symptoms that are bothering you. Make a list. The top 10 things that bother you. Joint pain, insomnia, dry eyes, eczema, whatever, okay? The stuff that headaches, the stuff that bothers you every day. And once a week, I want you to give it a numerical grade. 0 to 10. 0 being I'm completely symptom-free, and 10 being shoot me in the head now because it hurts so much. Give it a score from 0 to 10 once a week. Keep that list on your refrigerator so that you can see it every day and you can check in with yourself once a week. And as you're tracking your symptoms, you'll be able to know whether my program is working or not because you'll have objective results in front of you, right? So this is an important thing to do. What's your current body weight?
100 pounds.
100 pounds. Okay. So
yeah.
That's soaking wet, right?
What I wanted to ask you is that I did go on a high-fat diet, and I don't know if that has anything to do with it. It's somewhat similar to paleo.
Yeah. What's your blood type?
A positive.
Yeah. Well, sometimes people that go on a paleo diet, if they're blood type A, the excessive amount of meat can cause inflammation in the body and make a pre-existing condition worse, kind of like if you threw gasoline on a fire, it would make it worse, right? The gasoline didn't cause the fire, but it made it worse. But the paleo diet is not causing these problems. It could have been aggravating them. Your problems, from our point of view, are caused by chronic consumption of all the wrong food over, 30 years and a body that's completely devoid of nutrition. We're up against the hard break, Erica. Stick with me. On the other side of the commercial, I'll dial in what I want you to do. Thanks for tuning in, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Dr. Peter Glidden. Stick around. Welcome back, everybody. Dr. Peter Glidden here, your steadfast advocate for health, your friendly neighborhood naturopath, talking to Erica from New Jersey. Erica, are you still with me?
Yes, I am. Actually, Dr. Glidden, I wanted to let you know that I have been taking the Cal Toddy 3 times a day, 1 ounce, for going on 2 months, and I've also been taking the plant-derived minerals 3 times a day for a month and a half as well. I do the Beyond Tangerine as well. I take 2 scoops every day, and the EFAs, I haven't taken them because sometimes when I take them, I feel like I get itchy all over my body. I know they do contain soy, so I've tried to take a DHA.
Okay, so the workaround for that would be the Prohoba Omega. The Longevity makes a product called Prohoba. The company is Prohoba, Projoba, Prohoba Omega. That would be the workaround for potential, negative reaction to the EFA Plus. Have you ever had a problem with fish in the past? Have you ever had a funny reaction if you eat fish?
I've never had a reaction till this past year, where every time I eat fish, I break out in hives. And I know I'm allergic to shrimp.
Okay, so then that's why you're having a funny feeling from the fish oil, right? You really need to avoid fish oils until you get on the other side of this. Now, this allergic thing that showed up in the last little while, it begs the question, have you eliminated the 10 bad foods?
I have, 100%, and I've been gluten-free since January 2012.
All right, really good, really, really good. Now, how long have you been in the weeds with this new diagnosis? I mean, since you've been doing the longevity stuff, have you been muddling along? Have your symptoms been improving? Have you been getting worse? I mean, what's been happening to you since January when you started, this stuff with us?
I think I have seen improvement. I really have, but I don't know if I get like flare-ups, and then it just goes down the hill from there, and then I'll get better again. I know I have a lot of digestive problems and possibly fat malabsorption, so I don't know if I'm absorbing everything.
Well, see, this is the thing, right? The only time that medical nutrition doesn't work is if you're not taking enough, or you're not absorbing what you're taking, or you're eating stuff that's interfering with the absorption of the nutrients, kind of like 3 steps forward, 3 steps backward. So given your health history and given all of the stuff that you're up against here, and, since you've only been gluten-free since January, then the most reasonable
January
thing...
2012. It's been a year and a half, yeah.
Okay, so the most reasonable thing to conclude is your body is still struggling with absorption. So there's one thing that you can do to, look to see if that in case is the fact. So of all the stuff that's bothering you symptomatically on a day-to-day basis, what's the worst? What's the most pronounced symptom that you have that you're willing to share on the radio?
I get a lot of headaches, and also I grind my teeth at night really, really bad.
All right, how about heartburn? Do you get heartburn?
Yes, I do get. I get that. Not every day, but every now and then I do take the ultimate enzymes and also ox bile as well too.
Yeah, so the ultimate digestive enzymes?
Yes.
Okay, great. So how much of the white liquid calcium are you taking every day?
I'm taking 1 ounce 3 times a day.
And how do you do that?
I take it in the morning after breakfast, and then I'll have my dinner, and then I'll have one last 1 ounce dose before I go to bed with water.
Okay. Have you ever gone on a fast? Have you ever gone on a cleansing fast, a therapeutic fast?
I have tried in the past. However, I have really bad blood sugar. It gets really, really low, and I get really, really jittery, and I feel like I'm going to black out. It's hard for me to go really long, like I can't go more than 2 hours without food.
I get it. Okay, and you're taking the Sweeties as part of your health recovery program?
I was taking the Sweeties, but I had concerns because I thought it was probably going to lower the blood sugar. I thought it was only for people with high blood sugar.
Yeah, it's interesting, right? So, and what about, well, we're up against the top of the hour here, Erica. This really is one of those rare circumstances where it's just a little too complicated for me to sort this out with you on the air. If you hang out over the break, I'll talk to you off air, and I'll see what I can do for you. Ladies and gentlemen, stick around. We're coming up on hour 2 of Fire Your MD Now. Thanks for tuning in.